My name is Ramji, and I am the Senior Investment Manager at Pictet Asset Management, looking after emerging Polaris. This is my 10th year at Pictet Asset Management and 17 years investing in financial markets. Thank you for having me. We think that while many think the world is deglobalizing, we really think that there's a lot of redistribution in wealth, in capital formation, and we think emerging markets are ripe to take advantage of this. One of the reasons is because that we believe that growth is going to remain in the domestic sphere, in these domestic countries. Many companies in those domestic countries are set to benefit because the multinational companies around the globe are going to be more concerned with tariffs or supply chain issues or trade issues, whereas we think the benefit will lie in these domestic companies. Many of the interest rates in these economies are very high, and these governments and fiscal authorities have been much better in managing the economy over the last few years. So this means bonds in these countries are very attractive to investors. Ultimately, we think that having emerging markets in a portfolio adds a different layer of growth to an investor and gives a more diversified access to that growth around the world. Well, firstly, Asia is really important in the building up of the global supply chain for semiconductors. Many of the most important companies in the semiconductor supply chain are in Asia. And therefore, we think those Asian semiconductor companies are very important for a portfolio. Now, what's interesting about those Asian semiconductor companies, many of them are at a much lower valuation than the semiconductor companies in the United States, for example. Another area to look at is the Asian domestic growth stories. Here we can think about Indonesia or India. Many of these companies in these countries are going to benefit from the domestic growth that happens there. As these countries become richer, these consumers are going to spend a lot more, and these companies are going to take a lot more of that growth and wealth creation. The Middle East is very interesting also. They have set themselves up to be a very interesting economy in the middle of the world, in the sense that they're able to improve their financial services, travel and tourism, and infrastructure spend to create a brand new economy that is not just focused on fossil fuels. Here we think that these Middle Eastern economies are going to be a great source of growth for the global economy. And finally, Latin America. Latin America has traditionally been an area of the world, Mexico and Brazil in particular, that have struggled with managing their economy. What we've seen over the last few years is that these countries have become much more orthodox in managing their fiscal situation. In Brazil, the high interest rates that are starting to fall is going to be a very strong movement for the domestic consumer. And the domestic consumer is looking to benefit from those low interest rates. Very important question, because the way that EM Polaris is built is to invest away from the index, to think about where is the best areas of emerging markets that we can provide to the client. Not just investing with the index means that we can pick where we think the best growth opportunities are, where we think the best dividend opportunities are, and that's how we think about EM Polaris. We think about where the population is driving the growth, where companies' earnings and dividends are driving the growth, and where some countries have very abundant natural resources that can make their currencies and bonds very attractive to international investors. EM Polaris is built to create the best of emerging markets for the clients. Now, the one unique thing about EM Polaris is we have an innovative approach to risk management. Here we use gold as a very core risk management tool. Gold works very well with emerging market assets in terms of its correlation and diversification effects. It helps balance out some of the risks in emerging markets, and even against risks that are not foreseen, like wars or famine or in changes in interest rates. Gold is very strongly a diversifier in those environments. So we really believe that EM Polaris is a very innovative way to approach emerging market investment and diversification. We have the resource, we have the global manpower to work on these global emerging market countries. So we have all the knowledge, but also we have the innovation to create a style of product that's going to work for the future. We have ability to access emerging markets in a very different way than many other providers, but also blending it with gold and thinking about these innovative approaches is, we think, a new way of accessing emerging markets.